Be honest. Are all of us riding to our deaths?
Yes, we are. We all die. But does that mean our lives are meaningless? Would you say that of our slain comrades? What about their lives? Were they meaningless? They were not! Their memory serves as an example to us all! Their lives have meaning because we, the living, refuse to forget them! Because my soldiers do not buckle or yield when faced with the cruelty of this world! My soldiers push forward! My soldiers scream out! My soldiers rage!
Oblivion has aged 19 years since time passes. However, to say Oblivion in particular has aged is a little disingenuous. The game's environments are held up thanks to the bloom, making the outdoors look bright and vibrant like a painting. To such an extent, the one quest in the game that takes place inside a literal painting doesn't look very different from the rest of the game. The Oblivion gates are samey compared to each other and repetitive during the Allies for Bruma quest, but when taken one at a time they offer a jarring and evil glimpse into the realm that the armies of Dagon are coming from. And the evil hellish landscape contrasts with the overly welcoming overworld in a perfect way to convey the threat of Oblivion. The characters' faces are goofy and exaggerated without doubt, but since people still wanted to be able to make deformed characters in the remaster, I can't really take you seriously for criticizing the faces in the old version, unless you also hate the remaster's faces. Beyond the environments and faces, the awful character animations and clunky fantastical armor and weapon designs make the entire game feel like you're playing with dolls, which helps to take some of the stress off the immersion that a game like Skyrim with its more realistic approach was already suffering for as early as the special edition back in 2016. The soundtrack is obviously incredible, and the neutral vibe helps to sway the game's visual presentation. When roaming through the wheatland hills of Colovia or the flowery grasslands of the Great Forest by Skingrad, the soundtrack uplifts the entire experience to a pleasant stroll, whereas in the snowy Jarrell Mountains or rainy Nibbin, the dour tone of the areas is accentuated by the music, not for the worse, but for the opposite, creating a map that with limited assets and almost nothing to do in its barren overworld, still feels dramatically different on the borders of the respective provinces. The story is lackluster, and the factions and DLC are overrated in terms of their narrative and quest design. However, I think most people don't really think this because they combine the downtime in between quests with the quests themselves, which is a factor that makes Elder Scrolls games so replayable. When you get told to steal gold for the Thieves Guild over and over, that's very boring and repetitive, but how do you do it? Do you use Dark Brotherhood targets whose houses are vacant afterwards to steal without being caught? Do you break into shops at night and steal lightweight jewelry to sell? Do you complete the Umbacano questline and steal the alien statues back at the end for all 1,000 gold? Do you steal the bands of Lung Kao by the arena once you get the skeleton key? Each faction except for the Fighters Guild encourages this experimentation in one way or another. The arena does this through combat, since you likely end up going there early for money. With fixed level combatants, you have to pull all your potions, enchanted gear, and daily racial abilities to make it all the way through with your comparatively low stats to the enemies, creating tense moments that can easily be overcome later if you just come back, but taunts you into thinking, no, if I just use more potions and aim my flare spell better, I can do it now!
But I want it now!
Oh!
If you run out of enchantments, recharging isn't feasible this early on, so you might want to gather a few before trying, like the Debaser, Caliban Scrum Retort, and the Blackwater Blade, which are all available easily in the nearby Imperial City, which is what flows the early game so well. Where this flexibility comes from most is spellcrafting. As magic is the dominant playstyle of Oblivion, while there aren't as many cool, specific, or wacky spells to use as in Morrowind, to put it bluntly, all the issues of the game's design are mitigated at least a little bit by magic. Enemies that are too spongy can be paralyzed. You can cast Shield to push your defense against the hordes of enemies you'll run into. Elemental weaknesses can absolutely shred the right enemy, and summons can turn fights against one bulky enemy into Jujutsu Kaisen style jumpings. The Spellmaker lets you push how long or potent an effect lasts to perfectly conserve your magicka, or overtune offensive spells. Or even instead of a healing spell that's instant, you can make a healing over time spell to reduce sun damage as a vampire. Like in Morrowind, magic invalidates certain other skill classes, and unlike Morrowind, magicka regenerates over time, which does force all playstyles to use it in some capacity as a resource, since otherwise it's just being wasted. While this does make all classes half mage and half warrior or thief, to me this is only a problem due to the limited magic pool you're given in vanilla and the broken level scaling, which is sort of the root cause of you needing to use magic to overtune your character in the first place. More than anything, the game is an experience for you to have depending on what you want to do. If you're simple and just follow the main story, you'll probably be a bit disappointed. But to me, what makes this game magical is the fact that it holds up on replay, despite having game knowledge. When I built my tanky Breton, which used blunt weapons, I knew I wanted Umber's Armor early, but since she's a high level boss, I chose to earn the money to buy Apotheosis from Rendir. This meant climbing my way to the top of the arena and using my early access to destruction magic I had trained while in the arena to clear out some alien ruins with vampires before buying the staff and bodying Umbra, wearing the nice suit of heavy armor for the next dozen hours. To contrast this, my Dark Elf spell sword rushed the Knights of the Nine for a good blade weapon before Goldbrand was available to me, and once I had Goldbrand, I completed the Thieves Guild quest since losing my holy relics didn't mean much anymore, whereas that Breton tank wanted to do the Thieves Guild and Dark Brotherhood before Knights of the Nine, which made certain stealth sequences harder even with invisibility since I was in heavy armor. Figuring out which items to rush, which sequence to do with the guilds and DLC to manage infamy and rewards, leveling slowly or hyper-leveling, the way you want to push the game is a lot of fun. Now that I've played Morrowind, I understand why people look at this game as the source of Bethesda's downfall. I do personally have less respect for Oblivion than I used to, since its success is the reason we don't have a true sequel to Morrowind. But thanks to the visuals, soundtrack, and emergent storytelling, I think the game holds up into the modern day. I do have flaws with the game, but considering most of this game's issues weren't fixed by the remaster, they both end up as unfinished and half-baked games. The difference being that the original did the hard work and that the remaster coasts off its success because of graphical upgrades that arguably hurt the visual identity of the game. I understand that games look better as time goes on, and I like when games look good too, but that's the job of new games to take on. If a remake is just an updated coat of paint, then it's a graphics mod pack, not a $50 release. The Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time 3D is an example of a game that upgrades the graphics in a way that is stylized to better fit the original inspiration for a game that was held back by Nintendo 64 hardware, while maintaining the original charm and actively improving upon the game's design in small, caring ways, like with the iron boots becoming items or the ocarina being permanently bound on the screen. I do use mods to make the experience better, but people are modding bug fixes and item scalers in the remaster too, meaning the problems in poor level scaling design weren't improved in the remaster that had 20 years to look at what was wrong with the game. The remaster doesn't fix the leveling system, it takes it away by removing player interaction. It doesn't fix level scaling, it tones it down slightly in the numbers instead of changing how scaled enemies appear, or how strong the player can be to match those scaled enemies. It doesn't fix voice actors breaking the fourth wall.
I heard that thieves broke into the Arcane University, the Imperial Legion compound, and the temple all on the same night. Wait a minute, let me do that one again.
It leaves it in when all they had to do was trim the dialogue.
I heard that thieves broke into the Arcane University, the Imperial Legion compound, and the temple all on the same night.
It couldn't fix save game corruption.
But if you close your eyes,
And it introduced new bugs of its own, like making potions too fast causing the game to crash, Sanguine's quest causing crashes and still being bugged to keep the Countess in the dining hall permanently, and Archer paralysis stacking causing the game to freeze. It mutes the vibrant world and adds new voice actors when the originals were a part of the game's identity.
Ah, you are from the Fighters Guild, I resume. Good show. I am Lord Rugdumph Groshurgak. Let us conversate on the Lady Rogbot.
Ah, you are from the Fighters Guild, I resume. Good show. I am Lord Rugdumph Groshurgak. Let us conversate on the Lady Rogbot.
The remaster exists for people who don't like Oblivion, but are nostalgic for it. The game has its strengths and weaknesses, but it's still available to buy and experience in its true form, which is what people don't want, since they don't like what Oblivion is. That's why they need the graphics to enjoy it. And that's fine. Oblivion might not be for you. Not all games are. It's just a little sad that people are celebrating an undercooked remaster when Oblivion has been here the whole time.